Do you know if the Marion County Prosecutor's Office is looking into this?
Yeah, they're looking into it.
Do you have any comment on that?
Not at this point.
But first tonight at 6 o'clock, developing news and shocking allegations at Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith's office. Fox 59 has confirmed that the Marion County Prosecutor's Office is investigating an alleged incident surrounding Lieutenant Governor Beckwith's office. Thanks for joining us tonight at 6 o'clock. I'm Dan Spieler.
And I'm Aaliyah Blackburn in for Bear Shell. The incident involves a video including deep fake AI and a state lawmaker's wife.
Fox 59's Hannah Adamson breaks down what we know so far about this alleged incident and how lawmakers are responding now.
State Representative Craig Haggard says he's talking with the Marion County Prosecutor's Office and the FBI about an alleged pornographic deepfake video of his wife. Haggard says he was alerted of an allegation that a staffer in the Lieutenant Governor's office created and showed that video to other staffers. Haggard acknowledges he has not seen any such video, but that if it does exist, those responsible should be punished to the fullest extent of the law.
I just hope in some way, whatever the truth is, those people are held responsible.
State Representative Craig Haggard says he's disappointed in how state leaders have responded to an allegation that someone showed a pornographic deepfake video of his wife in Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith's office.
I was not notified of these allegations months ago when they were made. The husband, the person in the state house that it involved.
He says the Marion County Prosecutor's Office reached out to him about the alleged incident, something the office says it can neither confirm nor deny.
Sometimes as they work through that investigatory process, there's a number of things that individuals need to look into, and so for us, we really can't say anything publicly until we're in a position to make a charging decision or make a charging announcement.
The governor's office and the office of the Senate President Pro Tem each say they are not responsible for human resources matters inside the lieutenant governor's office.
If it were in my office, there would be quick getting to the bottom of it and full accountability, and I would expect that would be the case there.
I tried to speak with the head of the Senate and was basically told that he could care less and don't drag him into this. So.
And he told you that to your face?
To my face, yeah.
That, quote, I don't care.
Yes.
State Senator Rod Bray says that's not true.
Yeah, I did not say I don't care about that situation. In fact, it's a horrible situation. I mean, this sort of thing is a crime because it should be, and I feel for him and certainly his wife and his family for having to go through this. Nobody should have to. It is awful.
Haggard says he's also talked with Lieutenant Governor Beckwith about the alleged incident, and he says Beckwith told him he doesn't believe the reports are true. If this proves to be true, should the Lieutenant Governor step down?
So I hate to play the what if game. I would say that anyone should it prove to be true if they have knowledge of it that tried to cover it up, whether it's people in the office or leadership staff or whoever. I think that any of those individuals, if not directly involved as far as have legal ramifications, but knew about it and tried to cover stuff up, yes, I think they should step down and be punished as much as you can.
We did reach out to the Lieutenant Governor's office multiple times for comment. We have yet to receive an official statement. Reporting from Indianapolis, I'm Hannah Adamson.